Alien frequencies open and welcome aboard Treks and Tangents. I'm your co-host Brian.
And I'm your co-host Jaci. I'm the Star Trek newbie who treks off on tangents.
And I'm your Star Trek expert who is here to get the tangents back on track. Each episode we watch and talk about a different Star Trek episode, and this week we watched
Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode 13, Obsession.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to the halfway point of Season 2.
Oh, look at us.
So don't forget to stick around to the end of this episode to find out what our bonus Star Note episode is going to be. That's where we'll post over at our Patreon and dive deeper into the episode. But for now, before we get too far into it, let's just quickly revisit our Turbo Lift tease from last week. That's where we gave Jaci the title of this week's episode. And without any other information or context, Jaci tried to guess the plot of this episode. So computer, what was Jaci's guess last week?
Jaci's prediction last week was, the crew of the Enterprise has come back from shore leave because, things get rough. But a yeoman has turned magical, and now every single person that resembles a male, she becomes completely obsessed with. And it bounces around, whoever is front of her. But they have to figure it out before time runs out because something bad might happen to her.
So Jaci, how accurate do you think your guess was?
I mean, last episode we were on shore leave.
Sure. Not exactly a pretty picture for this unnamed female crew member of just following around male crew members like a lovesick puppy is how I picture your description.
I mean, it sounds like a great episode for this 1960s show.
I mean, sure. I would say that this plot point belongs in the original series in the late 60s. But
I tried.
You tried. Instead, surprise, surprise, it's the fart episode. And I call it the fart episode because it's just so many fart jokes where they run around and they go, "You smell something?" Like, there's just so many examples of, interrupt, "Whoa, what's that smell?"
Honey.
It's honey. No, that's terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Anyway, we will try not to have too many fart jokes in the episode. Jaci, what are your initial impressions to this episode?
I think it went way off. At the very beginning, we see this mound of shiny things, and we learn that it's 20 times harder than diamonds and all this stuff. And then we don't even go back to it. We follow the honey, and I don't I wish we would have stayed with the sparkly thing.
Yeah.
And then the pliers that they almost lost the sample.
Yeah. So very much, I agree with you for a different reason. I think it goes off the rails because we basically have a retelling of Moby Dick, but then we try to insert this subplot of the ensign, who's the son of the captain that died 11 years ago, that was Kirk's commanding officer, and that whole interaction between Kirk and the ensign, and Kirk seeing a younger version of himself in the ensign, all going on at the same time that we're trying to just enjoy this little sci-fi monster mystery plot that's going on, and it just feels very shoved in for no reason.
And then he magically comes to peace while he's talking to the ensign.
Yeah, a very awkward moment where that's his cathartic self-realization moment of, "Oh, ensign, it doesn't matter, dude, because your freezing up or momentary hesitation wouldn't have affected anything. Oh my God, it didn't mean anything when I froze up and hesitated 11 years ago." It's just so exaggerated in this moment. I'm honestly surprised they didn't insert some little animation of a light bulb going off above Kirk's head.
I wrote light bulb.
Yeah, because it's just that kind of a moment, and it's exaggerated on the screen for us to see. So, but yeah, it would have been fine as just a Moby Dick retelling and a monster mystery, but we had to try to throw in this subplot too, I guess.
And he this ensign comes onto the bridge as if he's some powerful dude. He's in his face.
Right.
"Hello, I'm here for duty."
Yeah, and I've got it in my notes. We'll get to it when we get to it again, and I'll mention it again. But the fact that there's this moment where Kirk goes, "Oh, you're the new security dude? Like, what's your name?" And I'm like, in what world does Kirk not be brought into the fold that the son of your past commanding officer is
on
now
board.
going to be assigned to you, your ship, and serve under you? And there's no recognition, there's no moment where Kirk goes, "Oh yeah," like it's just like, "Oh, whoa, what are you doing here?" You know?
Well, he did refuse to listen to her earlier when she had her message to give. It could
Right.
have been there.
When did he? No, because he wouldn't have been. There was. Where did he come on board from? He's been on that ship for weeks. I bet you.
It's just so weird how they all just pop up as if, I don't know, 400 souls when we only see 10.
Yeah, there's only 10 of them, and some of them get reused. Some of them, I mean,
Yes, one of the security guys, he's always a security guard in some fashion.
yeah.
He dies a lot.
Well, and specifically in this episode, I didn't write it in my notes, but I read it. There, one of the red shirts that ends up dying in the attack from the cloud. You later see him in the episode walking around in the background. The reason for that is because there was, the way I read it, it was originally intended that they weren't going to have all of these people die, that they were going to revive them. The cloud wasn't killing them per se. They were interrupting the cloud and getting them back before they were fully killed, but it never got filmed. It never got into the final episode, which could explain why they're just up and about again. But it makes for an awkward moment where it's like, "Bob, I thought you died last episode. What's going on?" So,
and killing them makes it more intense because McCoy actually has to pull the, "I have to write you up, dude."
yeah, there's also, yeah, that's kind of a weird thought to go into that we don't see on the screen, is at what point does Kirk get in trouble for any of this?
Yeah.
So, but in any case, it's going to be interesting to see. Well, I've almost decided that we should ask Jaci what she would rank the episode at the beginning, because by the time we get to the end, she's been so influenced by recording the episode that she changes her mind. But it'll be interesting to see where she puts it this time. So there's a reason why we asked for her ranking before my ranking. But before we go too far, let's just get into the episode. Jaci, why don't you walk us through it?
Okay, so we have our landing party on their away mission on this planet. I don't even know the name of the planet yet. I have never known it.
It is Argus 10. And you're right, it doesn't get explained. It gets mentioned like briefly halfway through the episode, but it is Argus 10.
All of these planets have numbers in them.
Yes, because it's Argus is technically not the name of the planet. Argus is the name of the system, and this is the 10th planet in that solar system.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes a lot more sense.
Okay.
Well, on Argus 10, they found this giant mound of sparkly things, and it is 20 times harder than a diamond. And so Kirk just easily uses his phaser and cuts off a piece to take a sample with him. And as he gathers it with those giant pliers, Spock almost, drops it. I found that funny. But while he's doing that, he smells the sweet honey that we talked about earlier. And he's like, "I met this smell 11 years ago on another planet." So actually, this smell is from something called dicronium. And then he sends the security officers off to find where the source is.
Well, yeah, I don't think the smell itself is from dicronium. So he does tell the officers to go scan for dicronium, which everyone seems to find to be odd, but it's not the cause of the smell. It's just the fact that we find out later that when Kirk encountered this entity on the other planet, he was almost able to trace it, this being left behind on their sensors, the signal for this element. And so that's why he's having them scan for it, because he recognizes the smell.
Well, that makes more sense because now it's only in laboratories. So, okay, thank you. This opening was super confusing for me.
Right.
So the three of them go off to look and scan, and they're overcome by this gas, this cloud, and only one of the what is called red shirts now was able to reach Kirk and say something was choking them, and they're dying. So Kirk and Spock run to find where their men are, and they find 2 dead and 1 barely holding on. And then, of course, during this intense moment, Scotty is like intercomming in saying, "When are you guys coming? We're supposed to meet with USS Yorktown in 8 hours." It's like, we're dealing with an emergency here, dude.
Yeah, and of course that's where the opening ends, the little teaser, and we get the opening credits. I like this little teaser to this episode. It doesn't waste any time in getting anywhere. There's no frivolous scenes. They're already on the planet. We don't have to watch them beam down. We don't have to watch them locate this sample of tritanium that they're looking for. It's just very quickly thrown into the action. I also really like the practical effect of the cloud, where it's the smoke that they have that kind of appears. Anytime that starts to appear in the scenery of the set is kind of cool, because it's expected, but it's not immediately obvious where it's going to come from. So I kind of like that as well.
I'm right there with you. Like, it says went A through Z. That's all you need to know.
Yep.
So after our musical intro, we are in sick bay. And did you notice that that giant screw acrylic piece is from iMud?
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, hey.
It was recycled.
So I was like, ooh, I know what that is. And so they have evacuated everyone that was on the planet doing research. So they are now back on the Enterprise. And McCoy has done the autopsy of both dead crew members. And now they're like, okay, good. We've done our reports. It's time to go. We have to deliver these vaccines to Theta 7. And, Scotty's keeping time, and we only have 7 hours left.
Right.
And Kirk, again, is like, we're not leaving. We have to find out this cloud. We have to figure out how to kill it. They'll have to wait. And so McCoy begins to explain his report to Kirk, and he deems it, there's no medical explanation how they died.
No medical explanation as to the cause of death, which he is able to determine. And he gives this in-depth medical explanation, but the long and short of it is something has drained the crew members of all of their red blood cells, which gives us the reason why, jump back to the intro to the episode, when they find their crew members dead on the planet, they've got that bluish tint to their skin.
And Kirk also asks to have Ensign Rizzo come out of his coma, because Kirk wants to ask him a question. And so McCoy's like, I can do that, but just be aware, he's still he's drugged. And all Kirk asks is, did you smell something?
Backtrack a little bit. Did you notice the drug that they gave him to revive him was cordrazine? Any recollection to what cordrazine was?
That was our knockout drug.
The opposite.
Oh, sorry. Our wake-up drug.
It was the drug that McCoy accidentally overdosed himself on in The Guardian of Forever that caused him to go absolutely crazy.
That was a good one.
Too much stimulant. Anyway.
I like when they do flashbacks to things.
I like when they have consistency in the lore and they actually have these made up things consistent from episode to episode. They're calling it cordrazine, again, as a reference to a stimulant that can wake someone up, instead of accidentally saying cordrazine, it'll knock them out. Again, it's nice when Star Trek starts to get consistent.
And that makes complete sense. And so when he does wake up, he does say that he smelled honey, like the smell of honey, and that he also felt a smothering, like the life force was being sucked from them.
Right. And more specifically, and it's a question I think that gets left on the table and it shouldn't, he references that he felt an intelligence from this entity, this cloud, when he was being attacked and smothered and so forth. I say this question gets left on the table because they kind of address it, but is the cloud intelligent? Does this actually present an intelligent life form? At which point, should we really be hunting it down? Should we really be trying to kill it?
No, totally, because like we've already learned that it can come and go as it wishes.
Right, and it can travel through space and so forth.
Yes. So they wait a really long time to all call it a creature.
Right.
Which would be like a live, intelligent thing. And so poor Ensign Rizzo, he then falls back into his coma. And Kirk also tells McCoy to do some research on the USS Farragut. And that was the ship 11 years ago that he was on, that this whole thing is based off of.
Yeah. Let's not explain what the connection is. Let's go a third of the episode without touching on the fact of what Kirk's relationship is to that ship and this cloud entity. Let's really draw this out.
And I mean, it's Nurse Chapel herself who is the one that notices right off that he's not right. She's like, he's acting weird.
Yes.
And nobody like believes him, like believes her.
Right.
And I'm like, she's on point. And so now we're on the bridge and Uhura is trying to relay a message, but Kirk blows her off. And he's like, make sure to send in my new security officer. Then he goes straight to Spock, and Spock reports that he can't see any life form, so we can't be in danger from the planet.
Well, so specifically Spock says that there's no trace of dichronium on the planet. And then Spock suggests that the creature might be able to change its molecular structure, which isn't how that would work, but okay. But he's suggesting that, well, it doesn't necessarily mean that this cloud isn't on the planet. It just means that this element isn't anywhere. Perhaps it can change itself to avoid sensors. What a weird conjunction from Spock to leap to, because I would just think it would be more natural for Spock to say, well, the element's not there, so the cloud's not there, or it's not the same cloud, or whatever. But instead, he's just like, maybe it can metamorphose and change itself. Metamorphose is a different episode. We'll get to it, but
I mean, he wood into ivory like that. How is that logical?
No, yeah, it makes it even more of this weird leap to go to.
And so Spock is leaving to go help McCoy and go learn more about this cloud. Like, he just goes away, and Chekhov takes over the scanners. And as Spock is leaving, in walks our new security person.
Right.
And it's Ensign Garrovick.
Right. And as Garrovick is entering the bridge, we do get this message in this scene that Rizzo has died, succumbed to his injuries.
And then the ensign confirms that, yes, I am his son, and then I don't expect any special treatment. And Kirk's like, well, good, because you're not getting it here.
Right. And again, this is the weird, awkward moment where Kirk is confirming that Garrovick is the son of his former commanding officer from the USS Farragut, that all of this ties together. Hell of a coincidence.
And he also graduated with Rizzo.
Right.
So he's like super like middle, like meatballed in.
Yeah. Be interesting to know what the graduating class at Starfleet Academy would be during the original series and how many people serve in Starfleet. I'll have to look that up later. But again, Kirk doesn't know who's being transferred to be assigned to the Enterprise. He doesn't get these detailed personnel reports to know.
You would think so, but he also didn't know about that one young lady from Mir Mir.
Right. Who had been there for a week. There's many examples where it's just kind of like, oh, hey, you're new.
And if it's a girl, he's like, hi.
Yes. It's very weird that there's no knowledge by Kirk as to new personnel that's being assigned, which leads to the question, does he know when people are assigned away from the Enterprise and people are leaving?
I mean, that's a good question. I know he knows when he's telling people to go to their quarters and not come back.
Wouldn't you think that that would be the quality of a leader that you need on a starship, is to know who's being assigned and unassigned?
Yeah, and who's doing a good or a bad job?
Is Kirk a bad captain? Scandalous. We'll get to it later.
Well, he's super excited, though, to have this new member because he is going to be part of a 4-man team. So he says 4-man team. But then when we go down to the planet with our phaser 2s, there's 5 of them. So it's a 4-man team plus him and Kirk.
Right.
I
Yeah.
kind of figured that out after we got to the planet.
Yeah. Because Kirk has asked Garrovick, hey, this is probably the same thing that killed your dad. Do you want to go kill it? And he's like, sure, let's go.
What are phaser 2s?
So we had to pause for a second and pull up images so that we could show Jaci. So the phaser 2 would be what is colloquially described as a phaser ray gun. It has very much the look of a gun, a ray gun with the little handle and everything.
Yes.
And then the phaser 1s would be what we would have seen in The Guardian of Forever, where the person found McCoy's and accidentally overloaded it and so forth. So the setting of Disruptor, I think I read, was just, this is the only episode we're going to see that order being given. So the phaser 2s and the phaser 1s, they all have different settings. They've got, I mean, the more common accepted would be what we kind of fall into with the Next Generation, where we get set it for phaser set for stun, phaser set for kill.
Okay, makes sense.
And then you can use it to overload it. Some of the phasers you can fire out different spread patterns and so forth. But stun and kill makes it seem like there's only 2 settings. I argue that there's not. There's multiple settings. Stun, it would just be the weakest. Kill would be like the extreme. But that doesn't mean that if there's 10 settings, if you use it on something like setting 5 or 6, that's not kill, quote unquote, but it would probably take out a weaker life form.
That makes sense.
So to say disruptor setting, it's a made up term that doesn't carry over to the rest of Star Trek, but essentially what he's saying is get your phasers set up, so because we're not going to try to stun this thing, we're trying to do damage to it.
Like buckshot.
Right. Buckshot versus slugs. So back on the planet, we've got Kirk, we've got Garrovick, we've got a party of 4 security officers, and we're all hunting Kirk's white whale. I should say white cloud.
So they split up in teams of 3, and they're going to go around because they smell it. They smell the honey. And they're going to go around the mountain. And as they're going around,
I think you're being pretty generous in calling it a mountain. It's a
well, it's like a little thing. They're going to go around it.
Yeah, it's a prop rock hill is what it is. It's a little cliff.
They should have just gone straight over. But anyways, the cloud ambushes the ensign's team of 3. And while he does fire at it, after hesitating, the cloud does kill his security team.
Right.
And so he feels very guilty.
Right. I would also say, to point out, if you haven't watched the episode, it's not really like he freezes up for a terribly long period of time. There is a pause, and it feels like a long period of time because we have to have the exaggerated effect of the cloud coming in and killing them and all of that. But it's to imply that it's not really he froze up and panicked and didn't act. He just had a momentary pause. And that's what should be enforced and noted, was it was very slight. And because eventually we're going to learn it don't matter.
Exactly. And I also added that when the cloud is killing everybody, it's like with sparklers.
Yeah, it's very much like the other episode that we watched, Metamorphosis, that I referenced earlier, where the little creature envelops them and we get the little light show and everything. It's kind of the same effect. It's kind of too bad that there's such a difference between the practical effect of the cloud forming and the smoke machine coming up out of the rocks and this quote-unquote CGI or this film effect of the cloud enveloping them, and it's so different. It's kind of too bad.
So then we have our break, and we are in the briefing room, thankfully, one of the crewmen who he thought was dead, he survived.
Right. Conveniently, again.
And so, like, and Kirk is getting more and more pushy about this being the same creature that took out everybody 11 years ago. And like Spock, Scotty, and McCoy, they're like kind of pushing back, like, calm down, dude. We shouldn't. Are you sure we should be fighting this when we have this other responsibility to do? Like, especially with, Yorktown?
Yeah, because the Yorktown that they're supposed to rendezvous with and keeps getting pushed off because Kirk wants to hunt this cloud entity, it's because the Yorktown has medical equipment, vaccines, medicine that is perishable. They will, if they're not delivered to where they need to go, they will no longer be useful. Also, again, another example of Federation and Starfleet inefficiency in this moment, that no one else can be diverted to get the medicine. Why did we put the medicine on the Yorktown when it just needed to get to the Enterprise to then get to the planet? Stick it on a faster ship next time, maybe? I don't know. But in any case.
So they bring the Ensign Garrovick in, and they want to learn exactly what he saw, like with the cloud, because he was there and Kirk was coming around. But the Ensign, he says such wide range, like 10 to 60 meters in size. And it's kind of gassy, kind of solid in composition. And it changed shape while hovering above them.
Yes, congratulations. You just described a cloud, Ensign.
Well, that's why I found it really, like, that part was kind of dumb.
Yeah, just call it a cloud.
And this is also where Kirk gets mad at him for not shooting.
Yeah, this is the moment where we get the first kind of tie-in. And again, I think this subplot is messy, but the tie-in between Ensign and Kirk, where it's a repeat of what happened to Kirk. The guy hesitated. Kirk places blame on him for hesitating, and now two people are dead because Kirk blames himself for hesitating 11 years ago. It holds your hand through the entire thing, this little subplot. I don't like it.
And he's sitting in front of a green screen the entire time. I was wondering if something else was supposed to be back there.
Yeah. Well, green screens weren't really the same thing in the 60s. It was just
odd.
It's just we're trying to sell color television still, and so we're going to make it really colorful, and let's throw a green light up there on the wall.
And so he's relieved of his duties, and he is like a little kid and pouts going back to his quarters.
Yeah, we get the little scene where he walks into the quarters, then he sighs really heavily and then flops down on the bed. I think it's kind of, well, let's talk about it. Is it too far to relieve him of duties? I mean,
what are his duties?
Well, his duties would have he's not going to go on any more away missions. He's not going to serve as security patrols on the ship or anything like that. He's basically just confined to quarters.
Grounded, like a little kid?
Yeah, pretty much.
Or like you did a bad job at work, so you don't need to come in tomorrow.
Yeah, you're placed on administrative leave until we decide what to do with you. So, yeah, it's kind of weird, kind of ridiculous, kind of an overreaction from Kirk.
Yeah, McCoy tells him.
Yes, and that's what I like about the episode is Kirk gets called out several times.
Yeah, at this point is when McCoy is being super vocal and Spock is always his normal, logical, you shouldn't have done this according to regulation 2.0.
Yes, and could it have gone farther? Could they have relieved him of command? I just like the fact that it's addressed each time it happens, and it's not like we have to watch 3/4 of the episode and then Spock and McCoy have a light bulb moment and they go, holy crap, Kirk's not right in the head. They recognize it from the beginning and they address it as they go.
And then he pouts, telling them to put their opinions in the report.
Yes.
Ugh. So now we're on the bridge, and Scotty, I love him. He's like, hi, are we going to the Yorktown now? Because, we can leave in half an hour because I cleaned all of these vents.
Yeah. he was in the process of fixing a vent too, which becomes kind of,
Yeah, it was like all these like special little things. He's like, we can go faster now.
yeah, kind of weird that it's like we can leave in half an hour if you give me enough time to finish, because I've got this little vent problem that I'm going with, and I'm like, they're gonna go to warp with this thing open. That's a problem. But in any case, Kirk says no, they're not leaving. Scotty's disappointed. Everyone's questioning this. Because again, up until this point, do they have evidence of this cloud? Sure. They've got people dying, they've got people being attacked, but they don't really have anything else that shows it's important.
Or how dangerous.
It hasn't left the planet yet.
That would be my, like, isn't it just going to stay there and we can go deliver these vaccines and maybe on the way home check on it?
Yeah, because everyone who gets in trouble and dies or gets attacked are the ones that are stupid enough to go down to the planet. Just don't go down to the planet anymore, guys, and take off.
And again, he like gets mad and says, everyone's conspiring against me. And they all look at him.
Yes.
He's like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to use that word.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said conspire.
And then he just yells at Chekhov to keep scanning for any molecular change, a cloud, just keep scanning. Okay.
Yeah, Chekhov's like, fine, whatever. I don't have to wear the wig this episode, so I'll keep scanning. No problem.
And then, of course, now we're back in sickbay because McCoy has to do all these autopsies and he has a lot to do. And Spock asks for advice. And then McCoy's like, I need a drink. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, it's a cute character building moment between McCoy and Spock, that with their super adversarial and conflicting relationship, this little moment where they confide in each other.
And that's where I think they both agree that something is up. They are trying to be as supportive as possible, but we have a lot to do.
Right. But this is also where, the reason why Spock is going to McCoy in this moment is Spock has finished reviewing the log reports from the USS Farragut, and this is where we get the explanation of this is why Kirk is so obsessed with the white cloud creature. This is why Kirk knows Ensign Garrovick and so forth. And the explanation of Ensign Garrovick's dad was Kirk's commanding officer. They encountered the cloud creature on this mission. The cloud creature managed to kill everyone except Kirk somehow. But Kirk now wants to seek revenge, etc., etc. Again, we're 19 and a half minutes into the episode where we get this revelation. So we've gone this whole point, even though we've mentioned it several times in the podcast, a viewer is just now getting this info. They've gone this entire time wondering, why is Kirk so obsessed with everything?
Yes, we're just assuming, but yes, this is when the word obsession comes to play.
Yes, and this is what's going to end Act 2 and go to Act 3. So again, we're 19 and a half. Well, by the time we get to the commercial break, we're 20 minutes into the episode. But for plot purposes, we're halfway through the episode.
And we come back and we're in Kirk's quarters. And he is finally thinking, am I letting past happenings affect me in the present? And McCoy, so again, we have no knocking, no anything. McCoy just walks into the room.
Yeah, not only walks into the room, he doesn't like open the door and pause just inside the threshold. He like takes those extra 3 or 4 steps to like put himself into the sleeping quarter area because Kirk's laying down on the bed. And it's like, no one knocks in this. It's so bizarre.
And he waited until the sleeping area. Oh, do you mind if I come in?
Yeah, he's like, hey, what's up? I mean, cool. And again, it's not just the fact that no one knocks and everyone just walks in. They're doing this to the highest ranking officer on the ship. Like, no consideration to the fact that this is literally the captain. He might be on a subspace transmission with an admiral, and he doesn't want people to overhear it. And so Yeah, totally bizarre. Can't wait till we get to the next generation where people actually use the damn doorbell on people's quarters.
Oh, wait. There is one person who does use the doorbell, and that's my girl, Nurse Chapel, but that's later.
True.
So, like, as soon as McCoy comes in, Kirk, like, jumps up and he goes to the little computer, check off a report. And Chekhov's like, I got nothing. And this is when McCoy's like, well, sometimes our biggest monsters is guilt.
Yeah.
Like, here, let me, sling it at you softly so you don't get mad at me.
Right.
And like, Kirk, you're doing well as captain, but we still need to go forward.
Yeah, because again, the cloud hasn't left the planet. It's still down there. We've got this other mission. We literally have to get these vaccines, medical equipment, whatever, from the Yorktown to the other planet to save millions of people, I think they say.
Yes.
And you are just refusing to acknowledge, because again, Kirk is refusing to leave orbit. He's refusing to even communicate with Starfleet Command. He refuses to make any commitment to a timetable to get to the Yorktown. He's leaving them all in the dark.
There's so much repetition until like here, and Kirk like says, don't use our friendship against me. And McCoy is standing up saying, no, I have to write a report and I have to work on my opinion. And then he like steps aside and Spock comes in because in this report, McCoy needs to have another command witness. And if Kirk isn't unbiased, Spock is the next choice.
Yeah.
So we're not using our friendship, dude. We kind of have to go by the rules now.
Right. And I'm going to say I really like this whole scene.
Yes.
From when McCoy says, I'm just going to burst into your quarters, I don't care, through Spock arriving and everything. I like it because of the way it depicts proper protocol and regulation, because in other episodes, we just get like weird little moments where it's just like, oh, let's all have a tribunal, let's all have a hearing, let's all have a trial. And it just seems so weird in those other episodes. Yeah, where it's just like, oh, we got to do it because we want to have this dramatic courtroom scene. And here it's just very much like, no, we just need to confront you and we need to talk it out and we actually need to have the conversation.
And we care about you.
As opposed to pulling the rug out from under you and just hauling you up on charges. It's like, no, we're going to follow protocol and we're actually going to do it. I just really like it because it seems more believable and realistic to how it should be.
And I enjoyed. This is also when Kirk opens up to his friends and fellow command that he's so interested in this creature because when it came to him 11 years ago, he felt the intelligence as he was blacking out.
Yeah.
Like he felt something hard to explain, but that it was alive and intelligent and able to do bad or good.
Yeah. And again, I think they leave this topic on the table. If I had to rewrite the episode, I would get rid of Ensign Garrovick completely and that whole story. And I would make this a story about Kirk hunting this cloud creature for a sense of revenge. And then in the moment when he has to make the decision, do I kill it or do I not kill it? That's when the final evidence is presented that this is an intelligent creature. Give it even the cheesy moment of, it's not trying to kill people, it's just trying to live, and it doesn't understand, and make it understand. Completely stereotypical Star Trek plot, but it would have been a better episode. Instead, they just kind of mention it willy-nilly throughout the episode. It might be intelligent, it might not be intelligent, and they never really address it. It never comes into play as a thing that drives their decisions. But in any case, to get out of this little bro moment in Kirk's quarters, we get the report that Chekhov has picked up the cloud and it's heading into space. It's leaving the planet. Oh crap, now it's going to really take off. And so they set it on red alert and the cloud books it at warp 8.
I was like so surprised. We were just having this quiet time, and then now we've been chasing it. And Scotty, again, we can't go this fast for much longer. We'll blow up. And Chekhov, he has his viewer at maximum magnification so he can see it. So that tells me that they are super behind the cloud.
Yes, very much, again, drawing a parallel to the comparison of Moby Dick and them chasing the whale in the ship, and the whale always being able to go faster than the ship and outmaneuver them and so forth. It's a fun little moment, but I want to move forward for time purposes because we're now going to have probably my favorite scene in the episode as far as a character, Nurse Chapel bringing Garrovick his dinner in his quarters.
So she rings the buzzer, but still walks in.
Yeah.
Like she at least rung the buzzer. And she brought a tray with his dinner because, you know, everyone's on red alert, but you need to eat. And he's like pouting and says he isn't hungry. But Nurse Chapel is like, maybe you need this soup. That will help you. And again, I'm not hungry. And then the best, super smart, she holds up one of those tapes and it's yellow. So I'm like, yay.
Yeah.
And she's like, on here is a prescription from Dr. McCoy. And it only has one word. And if you don't follow doctor's orders, you're going to get in trouble. That one word is eat.
Yes.
And she's like, if you don't eat, you have to go to sick bay and be tube fed.
Yes. And she leaves it in his hands. She walks out. We get the little shot of sickbay with her returning the tape to McCoy. And McCoy's like, what is this? And it's basically just a medical journal.
Yeah, some nasty respiratory disease.
Yeah. And he's like, why'd you have that? And she's like, oh, no reason. But again, I like the scene because, again, it gives Nurse Chapel personality. It's a cute little scene without being over the top.
Yes.
Still matching the overall mood of the episode, but it's good. We should also mention, in amongst all this, after Nurse Chapel leaves, Ensign Garrovick goes to the tray of food. He takes the tray lid off, and then he gets angry because he hears another alert. So he's stuck in his thing, so he throws the lid. It hits the ventilation thing and jams it open. We'll get to that in a minute, but important to note.
Right, and then it's like foreshadowing.
Yeah, and then he decides to ignore the orders to remain in his quarters. He doesn't eat, and he goes running out of his quarters onto the bridge.
And they're moving in on the creature, getting there, close. And Ensign Garrovick asks to return to a post, and he's totally ignored.
Right. They just kind of ignore him. But also of note, this is the moment where the reason why the alert came, the reason why they're catching up, it's not because of anything that the Enterprise has done. It's because the cloud is slowed down and turned around.
Yes.
To confront the Enterprise. Much like a creature who feels threatened, showing a sign of intelligence. This is ultimately the action that leads Spock to go, yeah, it's probably intelligent, guys. And again, we're not going to do anything about it.
But they do shoot at it, and then they try the photon torpedoes, and nothing.
Yeah, they shoot the phasers at it, and the cloud assumes the shape of a donut. And it's just like, oh, it can't hit me, guys. I just make a little hole in myself, and it just shoots right through me. And I'm like,
'cause I'm a clown.
Yeah, and again, doesn't matter. It wouldn't have mattered who shot it first. You can't kill it. You can't affect it.
Then it comes into the Enterprise via the ventilation system, the one that Scotty was working on.
Right. Again, maybe we shouldn't have gone to warp and left the window open.
And the cloud has messed up so much, like playing in the ventilation, like airways, that they only have 2 hours left of air.
It hasn't messed anything up. The cloud can't pass through solid objects. So it's stuck in the ventilation system looking for an exit. And what they're doing is they're shutting down the ventilation system. They're closing all the vents.
Oh, that's what I missed.
And so it's going to be stuck in the ventilation system rather than being able to escape out of a shaft into the hallway or someone's room in a minute. And so that's why they close it all down. But because they've closed it all down, the ship systems isn't designed to do that. So now they're basically breathing their air that is now trapped outside the system. And so that's why they only have 2 hours left, because they've cut themselves off and they've basically shut it down so that there's no new oxygen coming in.
Well, that all makes more sense.
Yep.
And then, but they suggest to flush the radioactive waste and see if that will get it to leave.
What a dumb idea.
I would think so. That I just heard radioactive and I went, huh?
Radioactive in your air vents.
Yes, that sounds awful.
Like
deadly.
Even if you want to take it to the point of, well, all the vents are closed, so there's not going to be any radioactive air leaking out to poison anyone, you have to clean it from your ventilation system. I don't know how long that takes, but I don't know when this is going to get solved. So basically what they've done is they've really committed to, they never address it. This is never something that's going to come up. But if they start to run out of air and the thing is still trapped in the ventilation system, at some point they can go, okay, let's all isolate ourselves and let's try to isolate it from other sections of the ship, and let's, gather in the cargo bay or the shuttle bay and open the vents to that, and we can breathe the air from that and keep it trapped at another part of the ship's air ducts or whatever. But no, let's just flood the whole damn air system with radioactive whatever. Terrible idea. Terrible idea. Plus, from a science fiction standpoint, when has it ever been a good idea to expose a monster to radioactive waste? That's literally how we got the swamp thing. Anyway.
We always have like small little inputs of Spock or McCoy trying to tell Kirk, don't be guilty. And so this is Spock's turn to be logical and say there's no fault if you didn't shoot this creature. Like, it would have done what it was going to do.
Right.
So get over it, kind of. But then now Spock goes to visit Ensign Garrovick, and he does the same thing at this one, explaining that it is what it is and to not wallow in human emotion.
Yeah, basically playing ship's counselor, playing ship's psychologist to kind of... I don't even know why Spock is visiting Garrovick. I mean, it's not his duty to do so. Garrovick, they've got 2 hours of air left. They got more important things than Garrovick's ego and feelings.
Right? Like, that's what I like. Why are you talking about, like, human emotion, blah blah blah.
But if we didn't do it, we wouldn't get the scene. So then the payoff of his little temper tantrum of throwing the lid against the ventilation controls, because now they're stuck open, and we get the fog machine turned on, and it's found the open vent into Garrovick's chamber.
Do you smell honey?
Yeah. You smell that? 2 men trapped in a room, and, ooh, what's that? And so the thing starts to come in. They can't close it off because it's jammed. Spock orders Garrovick to leave. We get the very illogical choice to try to block the air vent with his hands.
I laughed out loud. Like, for real?
Yeah. But Kirk and company come to Garrovick in the hallway. They order that the air pressure be reversed to push, because again, it's just gas. So vent the room, vent it back into the air duct. And they do so. It must go away, because then they're able to open the door and surprise, Spock is still alive because
his blood is copper-based and not iron like humans.
Right. So his green blood saved him. He has no red blood cells for the creature to eat. So, and of course, then we get the awkward moment we mentioned earlier in the hallway with the light bulb moment for Kirk, where he's just telling Garrovick, hey, doesn't matter that you hesitated and didn't shoot it, because we tried to shoot it just now and it didn't kill it. It just avoided it, turned into a donut. And then, ding! Oh my God, Kirk, couldn't have changed anything 11 years ago. Oh, I guess we're still just so alike and in the same position.
Like, his face even changes to like a light bulb.
Yeah, whatever. Then there's this awkward moment where they try to explain that trying to eat Spock's blood left a bad taste in the creature's mouth, and now it somehow has left the Enterprise through that same open shaft, and it's sprinting. And Kirk goes, it has to be going back to where I encountered it 11 years ago.
Right? I was like, how'd
Why?
you get to that?
Why? Where? Yeah, how do you get to that? Oh, it's going home. How do you know it's home? How do you know that it's not a nomad and has no home?
It
Why?
was the feeling when I was going to be unconscious along with everything else.
Yeah, dumb. And so, kind of to wrap up the second half of this fourth act here, they come up with the plan to use antimatter to blow this thing up. Okay, cool. And they come up with this idea that they only need to use a fraction of the amount, but it's going to be this huge explosion. The math doesn't work.
It reminds me of Armageddon.
Yeah, the math ends up not working out. Don't try to calculate why they're going to get this big reaction or whatever. But of course, who's going to go down to the planet and save it?
Kirk.
Kirk.
And his new bestie.
And his new bestie, Garrovick. And so they go down with this bowling ball strapped to this anti-grav unit because it floats.
Oh, I was going to ask you if the whole thing was the bomb or if just the ball, because it had like a hanger.
So the little ball, the bowling ball, has to be the containment that keeps the antimatter in the vacuum.
Okay.
The little claw thing that's gripping it is an anti-grav unit, and it would also be the detonator.
Like the thing they used to move the changeling, just a different...
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
I don't know why it takes two people to move it around. Anti-grav is supposed to make things easier to move, so only one person could go down. But in any case, it's also important to note they also go down with just a vat of red blood cells.
Yes.
As bait. But they get down there, and the very first thing that they do is move the bomb away from the bait.
Right. I thought that was so stupid because the bait is literally baiting.
Yeah. So it's like they leave the bait. It would literally be setting a steel trap for an animal, but instead of putting the food in the steel trap, it would be leave the food on the ground and then take the steel trap away with you to watch for the creature to eat. That's exactly what they do. The creature, the cloud, shows up, eats all the red blood cells in that container, the bait.
With the sparklers.
And then Garrovick and Kirk just kind of go, damn it. Our plan didn't work. Now what are we going to do? Now one of us has to be bait. And of course, the most pointless scene of the episode is Kirk going, yeah, I'm going to be the bait. I'm the captain. Get out of here, Garrovick. And Garrovick karate chops him. We get 10 seconds of them wrestling, and then they both just unanimously decide, okay, no more fighting. We're done.
Yes. Okay. We have the same opinion. Like, why are we doing this?
Yeah. Serves no purpose. So, of course, the creature goes after the new bait, which is just Kirk and Garrovick. They arm the bomb, and now we get down to the classic trope moment where set off the bomb, beam them out at the exact moment the bomb goes off. We get the dramatic little pause where, oh no, the transporter may not work. It may not recover them. It may be too late. But of course, they both safely arrive back on the Enterprise. They reunite with everyone. We get the little awkward comment where Kirk's like, why don't you come by my quarters later, Garrovick, and I'll tell you some tales about your daddy. You know, I'll tell you all about your father.
Yes, that was kind of odd.
It was even odder his reaction because he was like, well, I'd like that very much, Captain. And I'm like, okay, we're just going to drop the acting skills for this closing scene. But that's it. There's nothing else. I mean, roll credits. That's the end of the episode. So
yeah, it stopped very abruptly.
Yeah. So, Jaci, final wrap-up thoughts. Let's talk about, kind of wrap it up for, what did you think about Season 2, Episode 13, Obsession?
Overall, I liked it just by watching it and seeing McCoy and Spock kind of working together and trying to, knock Kirk into, come on, get on straight.
Yeah.
Because we always have Kirk being, I'm going to be Superman and do everything. And they're just like wingmen.
Yeah. And so, is it an okay episode? Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't excited and like, woo.
And again, it just has this messy but it's first and foremost, it's fine allegory analogy parallel to Moby Dick.
Yes.
Cool. Enjoy the fact that we get crazy Captain Ahab Kirk going after his white whale, his white cloud. Fine. The crew confronting the crazy captain, trying to get him to see sense. Cool. Where it goes off the rails for me is that messy subplot with Ensign Garrovick. The fact that there is no real reason or sense behind it. You could have had it removed completely. You could have rewritten Kirk's light bulb moment and given him another reason. You could have just even had Kirk give the light bulb moment as soon as they shoot it with the ship's phasers and the cloud turns into a donut to evade it. Light bulb moment. Oh, it wouldn't have mattered 11 years ago if I had fired the phaser at it. You could have written Garrovick out of this episode completely, and I think it would have been a cleaner episode.
Totally.
Especially if you would have taken it off the table and addressed the idea of, this is an intelligent being. Should we be killing it? Do we really need to be killing this thing? They don't address that at all in the episode. So
Right, and that's one of the rules of the Federation. Don't mess things up.
There's plenty of episodes where it's like, you've just encountered a life form, you have to tread lightly and you can't just kill it because it's convenient.
And it took them 45 minutes to figure out that it was a life form.
Yeah, pretty much. So, okay. Not the strongest of episode, but it ain't going to be the worst one that we see. So, before we get to our final quote, to round out our final thoughts, don't forget to jump over to our Patreon for our bonus Star Note episode. Free for everyone who follows the Patreon. We take a deeper dive into a topic or two from this episode. And we've kind of hinted at the subject.
Oh.
And we've kind of talked about it a little bit, but I don't think we've answered it in the episode. So I think this bonus Star Note episode question is going to be, did Kirk's obsession make him actually unfit for command?
Ooh, that's a good one.
So join us over at Patreon, patreon.com/Treks and Tangents. We'll post that bonus Star Note episode same day that this is live. Go check it out at the end when you're done listening here. But round out the final thoughts, Jaci. What's going to be your favorite quote?
So mine is at the end, and it's McCoy as they're trying to bring Kirk and Garrovick back, because they keep on sprinkling in and out. And McCoy's like, crazy way to travel, spreading a man's molecules all over the universe.
Okay.
And I think that all the time whenever they come over. I'm like, that's really awkward.
So this is going to be one of the rare examples where Jaci and I have the same quote.
Yay!
I picked the exact same quote from Dr. McCoy talking about the transporter. I picked it because, I think in the Star Trek timeline, transporters are not something that have existed for a huge amount of time leading into the original series. They're certainly commonplace. They would be everywhere. But I would like to think that there would still be some level of hesitation by some people in Starfleet to use a transporter. If you go back further in the timeline and you get to Enterprise, they very much did not want to use the transporters because it was such new technology. So I'd like to think that in the original series time, there would still be a huge amount of hesitation. We would have used shuttlecraft more in moving personnel, not cargo necessarily, but I like to think that there'd still be that hesitation, and I like the fact that it's kind of inserted in there, even if that's not the intention of the writers in the dialogue in this moment. I like to think that that's what it's shining a light on. So,
Naomi, and also Spock says it earlier above, because Scotty's like, thank heaven they got here, and Spock's like, no God played a part of this. I just bypassed to be, and that's how they came.
Yeah.
It was all me, dude.
Yeah, it's a good backup quote. So, but let's talk about our Tribble tidbits or interesting facts to the episode. And why do we call them Tribble tidbits, Jaci?
Because they're the best.
Because Tribbles can be cute, fun, cuddly, interesting, horrifying.
I see we're getting close to the episode.
We are 2 away from trouble with Tribbles. So 2 more weeks and we'll get to that episode.
Yay.
And then we won't see, well, we'll see Tribbles, but They don't become a fixture in Star Trek like I think they should be. Certainly not as much time is spent on tribbles as we spend on them here in the podcast. So, but for our tribble tidbits for this episode first aired December 15, 1967. This is the same day that the Silver Bridge collapsed in Point Pleasant, Virginia. And it is notable because this is the natural disaster that is tied to the Mothman. And that is the bridge that they saw the Mothman on before the bridge collapsed. This is the period 13 months of sightings of the Mothman in the area, and then the bridge collapsed, and then no one sees the Mothman again. Interesting cryptid legend. Go check it out. But since it's the day the bridge collapsed and it's tied to that, I thought I'd mention it. So the USS Farragut was named after David Glasgow Farragut. He was a flag officer in the United States Navy during the American Civil War. He was the first Rear Admiral, then Vice Admiral, and eventually ended his Navy career in the United States Navy as an Admiral, and is credited for the misquoted phrase of "damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead." So
he did not say that?
It's not a misquote as to the fact that he didn't say it. It's not the
exact wording.
Correct. He does say "damn the torpedoes," but then the part of "full speed ahead" is kind of conjunction. He does give the order for the ship to go full speed, but he says it in nautical command terms, not just full speed ahead. So
got it.
We already knew that Vulcan blood was green from previous episodes, but this is the first episode to note that the reason why it's green is because it's copper-based, not iron-based like human blood. That's the first reference.
That was good to learn. That was interesting.
In Star Trek periodic table, dichronium has the atomic number of 112. In reality, the element that eventually becomes the atomic number 112 is copernicium, and it was discovered in 1996, so it wasn't even around in the 60s when the show was written. So we're living a different timetable at this point.
They saw the future.
And then my last tribble tidbit, Jaci, did you notice anything different with the opening credits?
Maybe. No, I don't know.
This is going to be the first episode where they decided to reduce the volume of that background vocal singer and let the instrument musical portion of the song be louder.
See, I was singing over her, so that's probably why I didn't hear it.
Okay, so
because I usually sing her part.
Yeah, so they reduced the vocals on that. So
good. Does it stay like that?
For a while? Yeah.
Yeah.
But
See, they knew it.
Those are going to be your tribble tidbits.
Those were good.
And we've danced around the subject, but let's finally get to our episode ranking. This is where we're going to assign a Starfleet rank to the episode. And it's going to represent how entertained we were by watching the episode, but also, more importantly, it's going to assign them a rank on our fictitious starship for the season. A higher rank means not only we were more entertained by the episode, but we find the episode to be a more valuable member of our crew. And of course, the opposite is true. A lower rank means we weren't as entertained, and we find them to be a more disposable member of the crew. Our ranks start at the bottom with Ensign, Lieutenant Junior Grade, and Lieutenant. We can have an unlimited number of those. And then we get into the quote-unquote officers of the ship, the Lieutenant Commanders. We can have a total of 7. Commanders, we can have 5. We can have 1 captain, and we can have 1 admiral, or our favorite episode for the season. If none of that makes any sense, don't worry. Just like our bonus Star Note episode, we'll post a graphical representation over at our Patreon, patreon.com, Treks and Tangents, free for anyone, and we'll post that Wednesday, the day after this episode goes live. Jaci, for your starship, the USS Luminara, what rank do you give this episode?
I am going to rank it Lieutenant Junior Grade.
Lieutenant Junior Grade says second from the bottom.
Yes.
Same rank that you gave last week's episode. Why this rank?
Because I think Spock and McCoy and their being together, trying to support Kirk in a solid manner, that storyline kind of kept it floating from being in my ensign pile.
Okay. Otherwise, it would have been an ensign.
Yes.
So if they had kind of gotten rid of McCoy and Spock, and instead if this was just another episode of Spock pulling the rug out from under Kirk and going, let's have a tribunal to decide if you're fit to serve. And even though we've got 2 hours of oxygen left, everyone change into your dress uniforms and let's go to the briefing room for a formal trial. You would have made this an ensign.
Yes.
Okay. I don't disagree with that.
And then, like, why are we going to have a fight at the last 5 minutes of our episode?
Yeah.
That was silly.
Well, for my rank, I'm going to go a little bit better than Jaci. I tend to rank the episodes a little higher than Jaci. Jaci finds episodes that she really, really likes, and then she really, really doesn't like, and there's nothing really in the middle.
And then it's hard to make them in the middle.
Yeah, I tend to do the opposite. I put everything in the middle, and I don't find a lot that I hate or that I really, really like. But this one's going to be a lieutenant. It's going to be third from the bottom, one rank above Jaci. It's going to be the same as my Apollo episode. Again, the analogy and the parallel to Moby Dick, cool. I like it. What's going to keep this from ranking higher is pretty much going to be what I discussed. The fact that the subplot with Ensign Garrovick and his dad and all of that is just going to drag it down so much. It's so messy.
I mean, that's good to know, but they didn't do it
justice.
Yeah.
They could have replaced that entire subplot, as I mentioned, with the fact that it's an intelligent creature and that moral dilemma, and they just completely ignore it. There are the other little random things that keep it from getting a higher rank. That little scuffle fight at the end. The weird little let's beam down a bomb and blood as bait. But then let's not bait the trap correctly. Let's move the trap away from the bait. It's a messy fourth act overall.
Yes.
So, Lieutenant is going to be my final rank. And again, don't forget, if none of that makes any sense, pop over to our Patreon, check out the graphical representation.
It's all pretty.
Over on IMDb.
Oh, no.
So, again, we make Jaci take a guess. Again, 5 or 6 is going to be terrible. 7s are going to be average. 8s are going to be above average, and 9s are going to be the top episodes out of 10.
I'm going to say 7.
Okay, it's going to be a 7.2.
Woo!
Last week's episode was 7.3, so yeah, pretty much right in the same range.
Woo-hoo.
So, again, I wish Memory Alpha had a ranking system, but we're stuck with IMDb.
Is that bad?
I would just prefer that Memory Alpha, the official quote-unquote fan wiki of Star Trek, had some sort of ranking system. I understand why they don't do it, but
It has so many links. I get lost. How can we have that?
I get.
Oh my gosh.
But we'll be back next week. But before we go, let's give our turbolift tease or elevator pitch to next episode's plot. I'll give Jaci the title of the next episode, and Jaci, with no other information, will give a brief guess or pitch to that plot. Jaci, next week's episode is entitled Wolf in the Fold.
All right, the Enterprise is going through the galaxy, doing their charting because they're on the edge. And suddenly they're able to see that there are distress signals coming from an area that they don't even know about. And so they go over to check it out, and they find out that once they bring it onto the Enterprise, this person is actually someone on the run. And they were hiding in this end of the galaxy, trying to stay away until they got picked up by the Enterprise being nice, and noops, now you have to go to jail.
And tune in next week to see how accurate Jaci's prediction is. If you want more show information, you can find and directly support our podcast on Patreon, patreon.com/treksandtangents. Again, we post the graphical representation of our ranking system. We post our bonus Star Note episode, all free for people who want to follow along. For those that support the podcast as a crew member, we have our series where we dive deeper into the animated series for Star Trek. We're kind of off schedule for that, so we'll get to it.
But we're ready.
We're ready. We just got to get it finished. We also had a staff meeting, quote unquote, a briefing, if you will, on Bar Trek. So that's going to come soon. We almost had an episode recorded, and then, we got tired. Maybe we'll talk about it in Bar Trek.
Yeah, it was but we laughed a lot.
Yeah, and I don't know. We don't really know how that whole thing is going to pan out. We know we'll post it on Patreon, so go check it out for there. Probably should post more show news on Patreon. Maybe get a newsletter. We'll see. We're working on it.
Corner.
Give us feedback. What do you want to see on Patreon? where are you guys listening? Are you guys on the website? Are you guys on Spotify? Are you on YouTube? If you're listening on YouTube, we're close to a show milestone on there. So keep listening, keep sharing, and comment wherever you're listening to this.
And review.
And leave us a review, share us with friends. All that helps support, grow the show, and we really like engaging with the comments. So please keep interacting with us, and we'll keep interacting with you.
We'll send an emoji.
There you go. You can also follow us on x.com at Trex_tangents. We're on Instagram and Blue Sky at Trex and Tangents. But Jaci, where can people find you, and what are you up to?
Oh, I am on Instagram. I have so much content I have to post. I'm behind, but I should probably tell you who I am. It's at Jaboom, JIBBOOM. I am doing great after my first hip replacement. I am getting the second one done in just a few weeks. And then hopefully I'll be able to skip around for Christmas.
There we go. Well, you can always watch me stream a variety of video games when I have time over at twitch.tv/PiratePoundTown. It gets hard in the summertime to stream in this tiny little room for longer than a couple hours, but we'll try. I'm on YouTube. First, I'm on YouTube at Pirate Pound Town, where you can watch me post video game content. I'm also on YouTube at Pirate Treasure Hunting for hobby content. I'm socially on Blue Sky, and I do post on Instagram as Pineapple Cannibal. Links to all social media mentioned can be found in the episode description. Thank you everyone for tuning in to this week's episode. We hope you had fun like we did, and we will see you all next week.
Make sure your blood is the right color.
End transmission.